Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to gather a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world one character at a time. And it all starts with one thing: a deep understanding of human motivation, why people do what they do, and the forces that drive them. To gain that understanding, I am mining the intersection of psychology, theology, and philosophy to make you a better writer. This is episode 69, The Character Trait of Generosity as a Way to Give Realism to Your Character. I've been exploring for a while a concept that I hope to employ in a new round of courses after my 35-week course ends. It only has 2 weeks left to go, so I need to be on board pretty quickly for the new plan. I'll be laying it out in great detail to my students during the normal format time in the last 2 weeks of this month, leading up to the start of next month when the new program will begin. The new program involves 3 weeks at a time with the 4th week for writing. And the first week we explored in this practice session using magnificence as a driver of a plot. The following week we explored using loyalty as a subplot or a key milestone on the way to the plot. And this week we're exploring using generosity to give nuance to your character and make him more real. Yesterday, I invited you to just play with the idea of generosity, whatever that means to you. Think about it in your life, in your experience, in books you've read, and just kind of get used to thinking about that idea and bringing it up to mind. Well, today is the day to get a little bit more focused in and go into some of the more nuanced use of our nuanced character trait. How's that? Double nuance. And what we're going to do this time is talk a little bit more specifically about the character trait of generosity. If my book were out yet, I would tell you to turn to page 65. I've printed out page 65. I am very excited. My book is on the proof copy is on the way to me from the printer, which means it can't be too long before I'll be able to announce that it's ready to start shipping. So the character trait of generosity, since you can't look at that sheet, I'll fill you in. It's a character trait that belongs to the empathy group because it involves more than one person. It's our interaction with other people. That's one of the things that the empathy group has in common, is that they involve our relationships with other people. And within that, it belongs to the response subgroup. And the response subgroup has to do with how our character is going to react when good things come to them. What will their behavior be? And generosity is a natural response to a feeling of abundance, a feeling of having been gifted with number of things, which then might overflow into generosity as a natural form of response. Well, that leaves us with the opposite side of that, where we think of the lost side of generosity has to do with the feeling the need to hoard, the feeling that there isn't enough to go around, that I better keep what I've got because maybe I won't have it in the future. So it's really a state of a feeling of insufficiency, which can lead to the lost state of generosity. Obviously, the victory state is a giving spirit which widens the individual out and which opens the individual up to abundance. So when there's a flow, that creates a flow of abundance and a feeling that there is enough to be able to give and to share. So now what I'm inviting you to do with this day, with that background on generosity, I'm inviting you to think about the ways in which generosity might show up for the character that you have in mind. you've been working with a character through two other character traits, magnificence and loyalty. So now we're thinking about just something much more subtle. What is your character's basic impulse towards generosity? Is it something he thinks about and makes a decision about? Or is it something that happens pretty much automatically? And if it's happening automatically, is it happening in the form of exhibiting generosity or of neglecting generosity? Is it something that being generous is never something the character even thinks of? Or at the opposite extreme, is it totally natural to the character's being to be generous? So start thinking about, today I'm inviting you just to think a little bit about, put those two ideas together, the character you've been working with and the whole general concept of generosity, and merge those two a little bit in your mind and just play with ideas at this point. And that's what we're trying to do at this second day in our character trait. I have also some very exciting news, which is that this is still kind of in the breaking news department, not totally worked out in all the details, but I believe that novelist Victoria Crowder may be joining me to help team teach this new round, which would really be spectacular because, as you know, the character traits are a corner of fiction story creating. I think it's a pretty important corner, but I have never claimed that it's the whole be-all and end-all of writing, whereas Victoria has actually taught writing for more than 15 years at the university level, and she can bring the whole perspective. And yet she has been a student in my 35-lesson course, so even an experienced writer like Victoria Crowder has found something of value in this study of the character traits. So I hope you will join us in the coming round, and I appreciate you being around for this practice time when I try out the ideas that will be involved in creating the next round of classes. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.